All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in the world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayer's Live and my page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. It's been a while since I've done another installment of this, and I'm glad that this has become something that I can't say I'm doing consistently, but I don't forget about it. It might be a few days between one chapter to another chapter, one book to another book, but we're getting there. We are in the midst of the book of Numbers. Today we're going to go into the book of Numbers, chapter 19, the laws of purification. And it should be an interesting read, definitely. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about doing this page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible is that it's led me to reevaluate a lot of elements of life, um, especially elements pertaining to what's deemed as the paranormal, which very quickly in today's society is becoming quote unquote normal. And I'm talking about the United States government and other governments of the world acknowledging UFOs or UAPs. Since that has been about in the mainstream media, there's also been a resurgence of something called the flat earth theory, and whether or not we live on a globe or if the earth is indeed flat, if there's a firmament, what exactly is space, why haven't we been back to the moon in over 50 years? What's going on here? But when I think about science versus religion, or Christianity specifically, science versus Christianity, and whether I think of whether the earth is a globe and we're on this crazy spinning ball flying through the ether of space, or if in actuality we're on a flat earth, the theme that really comes to my mind is how important exactly do the powers that be want us to perceive ourselves as individuals? Okay. When I think about the creationist way of thought, it really does make us as individuals view ourselves as being incredibly important. I mean, if you really want to go back in time to earlier days of history when people thought that the earth was the center of the universe, and look, until somebody gives me a spaceship and an astronaut suit, I'll always question things. But when you think about those days, it really did, I think, lead people to take a lot more personal accountability because it made the individual, that train of thought, think of themselves as being a lot more important. But when you look at um, what science, mainstream science, is telling us nowadays, not only when it comes to our galaxy, the universe, now they're talking about the multiverse. Now they're talking about the edge of existence. Somehow it has been detected, and what's beyond that. You think about how big that is. I would think that it may lead a lot of, especially young people, to question whether or not they even matter at all. If, in the grand scheme of things, they're smaller than a speck of sand, smaller than an atom, how we perceive an atom as being, smaller than a molecule, smaller than than the nucleus of an atom. I think that the truth is somewhere in between all of that. That's how I view things. I think it's fun to think about all the trains of thought, all the ways that existence could actually be put together. But without a doubt, I do believe that there is a creator, intelligent design, mainly due to, I'll tell you what's led me to firmly believe that: the element of aging, Definitely. Um, I'm somebody who's very into home remedies. I avoid doctors like you wouldn't believe. Just because I know my own body very well at this stage. And when you're younger, you really feel almost like you're invincible. Sometimes, especially at least I did, because I was an athlete and I was a very good athlete. I thought to myself, am I a god myself? I'm so good at sports, but then you get older and you start feeling the body aging and breaking down. And you start to, at least with me, and I'm sure it's just how my mind works to an extent, but I'm sure other people may feel that the way that I do. But you start to really get to know your body, what works, what foods work for you, what kinds of stretching you need to do in order to keep yourself, moving and whatnot. And you start to almost view your body as a sort of machine. And you think about how machines are designed and how if you put the wrong kind of fuel in a car, which is a machine, it's not going to last very long. But if you put the right kind of fuel in that car and you maintain that car can last who knows how long. I've seen within family members the difference between taking care of yourself versus not. But within my family, we've been very blessed with good design, good genetics. And I don't believe that that's just luck of the draw. I really don't. Um, and I think that through reading the Bible itself is a sort of instruction manual for the design that is your body. There's so many things in these books of the Bible that I've read so far that literally are great advice as to how to take care of yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. And hey, happy holidays to you too. But I think that our bodies have to be designed by some sort of intelligence beyond what we can perceive. And my perception of that is God. I look at nature. I look at just how well everything functions. The only thing that really messes up nature is our minuscule minds, thinking that we're gods, thinking that we can do better than what God did. So, that was just my thought for today. That was my rambling. I don't know if it made any sense or not. But today we're going to go into the book of Numbers, chapter 19, the laws of purification. Here we go. I'll provide my commentary as I see fit. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, This is the statute of the law which the Lord has commanded, saying, Tell the children of Israel that they will bring you a healthy red heifer, which has no blemish, and on which a yoke has never gone. And you will give it to Eleazar the priest, and he will bring it outside the camp, and it will be slaughtered before him. And Eleazar the priest will take from its blood with his finger and sprinkle some of its blood directly before the tent of meeting 7 times. Then it will be burned in his sight, its hide and its flesh and its blood, with her dung will be burned. And the priest will take cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet and throw it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest will wash his clothes and will bathe in his water in his and will bathe his body in water, and afterwards he will come into the camp, and the priest will be unclean until evening. He who burns it will wash his clothes in water and bathe his body in water, and will be unclean until the evening. So that's interesting. Not until the evening will they be deemed as clean. So that means a certain amount of time had to go by. And what's interesting about this time in the Bible, where when Moses and Aaron are trying to get the Israelites, this group of people, to a certain destination, and if you heard the earlier books, they've been complaining all along the way. But there does seem to be a level of what we would consider today as science that goes into some of these rituals when it comes to protecting this group of people from certain disease that may have been prevalent in that time, leprosy, strategically segregating people who may be infected from the non-infected, certain purification rituals to where it wasn't just taking certain actions, but a certain amount of time that needed to transpire between when the ritual took place versus when that amount of time had gone by to where whatever it was that they were exposed to was neutralized. That's what I would assume it would be. Something had to be neutralized physically upon them for them to be granted access back into their temple, which was the tent of meeting, or around the masses, that particular group of people. A man who is clean will gather the ashes of the heifer and deposit them outside the camp in a clean place. And it will be guarded for the assembly of the children of Israel for water of purification. It is for purifying from sin. He that gathers the ashes of the heifer will wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. And it will be for the children of Israel and for the foreigner that lives among them, for an eternal statute. And again, it's interesting that they say until evening. It almost makes me wonder if maybe whatever they were doing to clean themselves, whatever they were using, may have had to have been heat activated or light activated by the sun. I mean, it doesn't say so in this particular text, but it makes me wonder if God, the Lord, or God's messenger, who was speaking directly to Moses at that time, was telling the individuals who were doing these rituals, okay, after you do all this, after you wash yourself using these herbs and these certain substances that I'm recommending, make sure that you stand in the sun, because that's going to finish the disinfecting process. I'll bet you that was a part of it, because when the sun goes down, the sun wouldn't be able to disinfect you anymore. And sunlight is a great way to disinfect something. So these are all things I think about because I happen to be a clean freak. And another thing I wanted to inject a little commentary about to just people out there. Whenever you go through depression, I know a lot of you out there who stumble across me on the internet, who may come across various podcasts on the internet. You're in that phase of really rummaging through the internet and isolating yourself most likely from your 3D world because you're dealing with a form of depression. If you are depressed, one of the best ways to pull yourself out of depression is by cleaning your environment, making it spick and span, being meticulous about it. There is a saying that says, cleanliness is akin to godliness. It's true. You feel so much better when you are in a sparkling, clean environment versus a messy environment, an environment that's in disarray, a dirty environment. Same goes for yourself, for your body. You want to keep yourself clean, not only for health reasons, but because you look better and you will feel better overall. So, just a thought. He that touches the dead body of any man will be unclean 7 days. He will make himself clean on the third day, and the seventh day he will be clean. That number 7 seems to be important here. But if he does not make himself clean on the third day, then the seventh day he will not be clean. Number 3 is important here too, which translates to the Holy Trinity, 3. And 7 has always been an important day in the Bible, or an important number. Whoever touches the body of any man that is dead and does not purify himself defiles the tabernacle of the Lord, and that person will be cut off from Israel. Because the water of purification was not sprinkled on him, he will be unclean. His uncleanliness is still on him. This is the law. When a man dies in a tent, each person who comes into the tent and all that is in the tent will be unclean for 7 days. Every open vessel which has no covering fastened on it is unclean. And again, this is science here. This makes sense for those of you who don't like the Bible, because you feel like, oh, it doesn't have to do with science. It does, because any open vessel, any open container might get contaminated by whatever may have killed that body. So the Lord, God at this time, is teaching people through Moses, through Aaron, through this tent of meeting, exactly how to keep yourself clean and free of disease. Whoever in the field touches one that is slain with a sword, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, will be unclean for 7 days. For an unclean person, they will take from the ashes of the burnt sin offering, and running water will be on it in a vessel. A clean person will take a hyssop and dip it in the water and splash it on the tent and on all the vessels. And the people who were there and on him that touched a bone, or one slain, or one dead, or a grave. The clean person will splash on the unclean person on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall purify himself, wash his clothes, and bathe in water, and he will be clean at evening. But the man who is unclean and does not purify himself, that person will be cut off from among the assembly, because he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of purification has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. It will be an eternal statute to them. He that sprinkles the water of purification will wash his clothes, and he that touches the water of purification will be unclean until evening. Whatever the unclean person touches will be unclean, and the person that touches it will be unclean until evening. And that's the end of chapter 19 of the book of Numbers. Very interesting. I mean, I feel like it's talking in a sense about sterilization, not too unlike what a surgeon does in the surgery room of a hospital, really. Things, everything has to be sterile in a operating room. So this is kind of like a primitive operating room that the tent of meeting has essentially become in certain circumstances when it comes to dead bodies or people who are sick, things like that. And also keep in mind that there were times, or are times in the book of Numbers, where the Lord God, or the representative of God, does actually manifest, does actually appear physically in this tent of meeting. So if this is in actuality not God, let's say it's a messenger of God, or maybe an interdimensional being of some sort, it would need to be in a relatively sterile environment, considering that they may have come from an environment that was a lot more free of germs, or viruses, or whatever it is, from their realm to the earth realm. These are all things that I think about. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Sorry it's been such a while since I've done a reading of the modern English version of the Bible, but I like to be in a good mood when I do this. I like to be in the right state of mind. In the beginning, I think I was reading some chapters where I was not in the best state of mind. And, I'm sure it was meant to be that way. But as I move forward, and as my life shifts for the better and I progress in my life, I'm finding that I'm consistently in a better state of mind. So hopefully, as I'm consistently in a better state of mind, I'll be more consistent with this project. We will see, won't we? So take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Be productive. Feel good about yourself. Be respectful to yourself. Love yourself, and treat others the way that you would like to be treated. Take care. May God and Jesus Christ be with all of you. Bye-bye.